What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Don't Call This a Podcast, a webcast, actually. We're excited to be with you today. All of us, Ron and I, are actually on webcam looking trash as usual, but we're here. We made it. But we wanted to kind of do this in a way that we don't typically get to do. We don't do politics as usual anymore because none of us live near Birmingham. Um, none of us live in Birmingham anymore, so there's no convenience to it. And we're just broke millennials trying to survive, and we don't feel like wasting gas all the time. So, we're gonna try out this webcast, this webcam form, and see how it works. Maybe every once in a while we give you a quote unquote live episode of DCP. But in the meantime, this is season 4, still churning strong. We are taking a break because I'm lazy, and it was Christmas time, and I got kids to get presents for, and also it's just a lot going on. So me, D, and Courtney will be back here sometime mid to late January whenever I stop being lazy. But in the meantime, we've got a special episode. It's our album of the decade episode. And I've got like old times, like the 2017 season 1 DCP. Ronnie Harris is in the building. What's going on, Ronnie?
It's good to be here, man. It's been a minute. And I'm glad to be here because I'm going to piss a lot of people off on my list. But a decade is a really long time. Just want to say that right now. A lot happens in a decade.
Yeah, I mean, you made the point, and we'll get to it as we get through your list, but you made the point that there's a certain artist that if this was like 2014 would have filled up half of your list. But
exactly.
Because you got older and you kind of matured, it's not the case anymore.
I'm like trash anymore,
right? So we'll get to that. We'll get to that as the time comes. You can find Ron on Twitter at the KWC blog. If you ever wanted to follow a Twitter account that feels like Legion, that's it. Ran by like 4 different people, but Ron and D for the most part are the ones tweeting through that. Check it out there. Check out our website, thekidswearcrowns.com. If you haven't subscribed to Don't Call This a Podcast, we're in your Apple feed, we're in your Spotify feed. Don't ask me about nothing else. Nobody else is important. We're there. But you can probably find us on some of the things like Podbean and whatever. I don't know. But it takes a lot of time to do that, y'all. And I got 2 kids, man. I'm busy. I'm not finna dive into every platform, make sure we're on
2
there, right?
kids.
There's the 2.
That's why you need to jump onto Anchor. They'll do all that for you.
I was on Anchor, but we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
Also joining us, those 2 voices that you heard, we have Obes of the Chicken Social. Well, I'm sorry, of 10 Clock Productions. Now, Run the Play is the name of y'all's main podcast, right?
Yes.
It is. You can find Obes on the Twitter at 10 Clock, TINCLOCK. I can't spell. And you can go on their website, 10clockproductions.com. Obes, tell them a little bit about yourself.
So. Yeah, like you said, so you messed up a little bit because you're talking about the old podcast, the one that got us all the, I don't know if acclaim is the right word, but
clout.
Yeah, sure, yeah, clout, all of that. So we did that for 4 years. Then I decided one day I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And then my brother Chad that does a show with me, the award-winning sound designer and producer, I was like, yeah, I don't want to do the show anymore either. So we stopped doing that. Now we're doing Run the Play, which is on hiatus. Because I've got something you talk about, there's a lot going on. I got a lot going on as well that I'm not quite ready to announce yet, but it is political in nature, so look out for that. And but yeah, man, just out here. It's about to be 2020 in like just over 24 hours, which is kind of blowing my mind right now. This is the second to last day of the decade.
That is wild.
Man, it's wild, bro.
I did in my 5th decade, man. It's wild.
wild.
I get to claim that. Doesn't really count. But yeah. All right. So yeah, Obes, man, we appreciate you being with us today. I literally contacted Obes like 2 hours ago and was like, yo, y'all want to be on? And Shaw was like, I'm out. And Obes was like, yeah, I'll do it. And I guess so. So we appreciate Obes. This is like the 3rd or 4th time we've collaborated. So we always like joke with each other on Twitter. So make sure you follow him on Twitter at 10 Clock, TINCLOCK. Also joining us, Mr. Hagen McMenemy. Is that how you pronounce your last name?
Wow, that's it. You got it on the first try, too. Were you studying?
No, actually, but I have a difficult last name, so I just figured, like, it's almost the same thing. It's the Mac. The Mac trips people up. I don't know what to do after that.
I've heard, like, Mac Enema. I've heard Mac in the like, I've heard my drill sergeant had a new name for me every day, and that's like 80 days at basic, so.
I'm so sorry. You can follow Hagen on Twitter at Ultralight Scheme. No I in the light. Ultralight Scheme. You can also follow his website, moonhalffull.net. Hagen, tell him a little about yourself.
I'm an opinionated asshole. I hate everything, apparently. Um, I came on today because I'll never turn down an opportunity to give my opinion. But I'm a writer and an editor for AvantYouth.com. It's a website for Gen Z millennials with a hyper local slant here in Atlanta. If you want to check that out, you can go to AvantYouth.com and follow me on Twitter if you want some like volcanic takes.
Live from Villa Rica. Um, I'm joking because I'm out in Grayson. So I mean that's all right. Anyway, that's an Atlanta joke. That's a Metro Atlanta joke because nobody in Atlanta knows where the hell those two places are. All right. So anyway, the way we're doing this today, myself, Ron, and Hagen have cultivated our top 10 list. We are going to go through one by one and talk about each album. I'm kind of cheating because I was telling Ron and D earlier, I had like 30 albums at the beginning of the day. I got down to like 15 an hour ago and then 12, and I'm down to 11. So I'm going to mention my honorable mention. If y'all got one y'all want to throw out with an honorable mention, then by all means do so.
I have three, so you could kick off with yours first.
Okay, because mine doesn't really fit with the theme of the rest of mine as I go through mine. It as I thought about it more, it was like I love this album, but am I gonna put it in the top 10 decade list? And the answer is no. It's Pretty Girls Like Trap Music by 2 Chainz.
That's a good album.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
pretty good. That's a good album.
that was the album I wasn't sure if I was gonna like when it came out in 2017. I think we did it because we were gonna review it. I think we were gonna do that's when we were doing the listening club,
right.
and we never got around to.
We need to pick that back up. But anyway, yeah.
Like we were getting ready to do a listening club review of Pretty Girls Like Trap Music, and I hadn't like listened to a full 2 Chainz project. Like I listened to songs here and there, but if you know me, you know that it's very hard for me to sit down and listen to an album because A, I have a terrible attention span, and B, I just like if I hear one song I don't like, I'm like, I don't know. So when I streamed that album, I was like, oh, I like this. Like the whole thing, I was just like, okay, like I'm sitting up there holding my daughter. She's like, 11 months, and I'm just like vibing to the whole album. Like it really, it's one of the things that I look back on. I really enjoyed the experience of it, but not enough to put in my top 10.
Okay.
Ron, it's on you. You looking like you're ready.
So yeah, I have. It was a pretty tough list for me as well. I actually have 3 honorable mentions because AJ and D pointed out an album that I left from my list. I guess my first honorable mention would be and it's wild to say this because dude has completely fallen off the map. Dumb Ken, the Yellow album.
Wow.
That album, like I was like, Dumb Kennedy can do no wrong after he dropped this album. I was like, he is going, he's like shooting straight to the top. Narrator says that's wrong.
That video of the dude like making fun of him, I can never hear that song the same way again.
Put bread in a toaster, cell phone, Motorola. But yeah, my other honorable mention would be Schoolboy Q, Blank Face.
Oh yeah,
okay.
Really
Yeah.
dope album. Really dope album.
Shouts out 2016.
Yeah, really good. Yeah.
2016 was a good year.
Yeah, it was, man. The Life of Pablo came out that year too.
The
that's
last
right.
Kanye project. That's right. This is his last Kanye.
Facts.
Very last one.
So weird.
Never
that he,
made
like,
anything else
just
after
went
that.
missing
That happened
after
to
Yeah,
him.
2016.
it's crazy.
Like
2016.
Kanye just sold shoes after that.
Yeah, that's it. Kanye disappeared. Super Bowl never happened. That was a weird year.
Facts.
Yeah, my final honorable mention. It's an album that not a lot of people talk about or even remember anymore. The Roots Undone.
You're right. I don't remember that at all.
It's a fantastic album. It's about the death of someone in Philly, but it starts with the death and it goes backwards. And the last 4 tracks of this album, it's a suite. It's 4 suites. It's not even rapping or anything. But Questlove is playing drums. Sugyan Stevens is playing the guitar, and it just makes sense. And it's one of their boldest albums in my opinion. I couldn't quite put it in my top 10, but it's still up there.
That's what's up. Hagen, do you have an honorable mention?
I got 2 from this year that neither of them kind of made the list, I guess. But like I'm not the biggest Tyler fan ever, and I fully didn't know what I expected going into Igor, but from like the moment I hit play, that album just had me hooked. Like this whole it really seemed like the album Tyler spent his whole career kind of working towards, like he kind of flirted with like the neo soul and the jazz stuff on even as far back as Wolf, but like I guess it never really came together, even with like Flower Boy, because I wasn't big on Flower Boy, but like Igor kind of seems like what might be considered like his opus, where he's finally come into all of his strengths and learned from everything he had done to that point. I really like the JPEG Mafia from this year too. Kind of the same thing. It was kind of like and like an emulsification of the same stuff he was doing last year. I really liked Care for Me by Saba.
Oh man, I forgot all about that.
Saba.
Saba, yeah.
Bro, I'm not gonna lie. Like tears fell a couple times on that album, man. Like as insofar as like a personal exploration of what it was like to grow up in the environment he did, like the instrumentation, the rhyme patterns, the delivery, the lyricism, and just kind of like wearing his influences on his sleeve were just awesome. I really liked the Tribe Called Quest album from a couple years ago. Like I feel like it came out and had like good critical reception, but I don't think it really got the reception in like the popular scheme that it really deserved, and it kind of seemed like a really good way to kind of close up that whole arc of the group and everything.
I forgot Saba's Care for Me came out this year. This has been a long year.
No,
like, it's been long and
that
short.
was last year.
Last year.
Okay. I was about to say, man, 2019 last. Yeah, it's way too much happened. Like everything from like 2016 onward feels like one long year.
And Long Live ASAP too. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but like I want to shout out Long Live ASAP because that album, like I guess it kind of was like the peak of like that cloud rap stuff from like the early decade with like Lil B and like mainly like that blog rap era. But like Long Live ASAP is a great album.
That blog, I mean, before we jump into things, and we won't take too long on this because Ron is old and he's got to go to bed. But that, man, the whole blog era, like searching Two Dope Boys for the newest mixtapes or the newest singles that dropped, or like going on Dat Piff, like that's a real throwback. But like that whole era, man, I just remember there was something to like actually still having to hunt for the music. And I hate to be like the back in my day dude, but it just felt a little bit more earned when you wanted to really hear something and you found that tape that you were looking for, and it was like, you know what I'm saying, you got to kind of really enjoy that experience versus now where we just kind of like pull up the stream.
Right.
But there was something to that era. Like I know for me and Ron and probably Obes, I think Obes and I, we confirmed we're the same age, but I think it's a little bit different for us because like we were in college during that point, so it was like, you know, you hitting up your other folks like, yo, you hear this new, you know, such and such, you hear the Titty Boy back, he's got a new name, you know what I'm saying? Like that whole thing was like, it was just like a moment in time that I don't think we'll ever get back, honestly.
I agree.
I think it was like the beginning of the era where you have like the internet age of like not just like rap music, but like also music in general, where like before that people were kind of into like their regional sounds, but you have like people who like Rocky, you know, who's like influenced by Southern rap in Houston, like even though he's from New York. So like that's kind of the first era where we really saw what the internet could do with music in general.
And now everything sounds like it came from the South.
True.
Good point.
The South is the best.
South won.
Absolutely. Only time the South won. South gonna hold it down.
Thankfully.
All right, let's move into our top 10 list. So I'm gonna let Ron kick this one off because mine is R&B and it's a little mellow, and I feel like I'm gonna pull down the mood, so I'll just wait to kill everything.
Okay, cool. My number 10, Anderson.Paak Malibu. Yeah. So I stumbled across Anderson.Paak earlier by what was that? Venice? Yeah. Venice, we discussed this on the Album of the Year show. It was like all over the place, but there were things on there I still liked. But Malibu was like peak Anderson.Paak. I think he got his formula just right for that one. Not a lot of skips on this album. I think it's like It's still his best work to date. So, yeah, Anderson.Paak Malibu is my number 10.
Hagen?
I'm gonna go with Barter 6, man. Like I don't know what, cause so like Young Thug started to come up when I was in AIT for the military, so I was kind of like disconnected from like music in general. But I just remember coming back, and then Barter 6 came out, and like kind of like this really dark, like gritty journey through, I don't know, like this super esoteric, off the wall dude that I had never really heard from before. Cause like the Rich Gang stuff was really good, but like you never really heard like Young Thug on his own. Well, I hadn't at that point, but like, dude, like just some of the quotables on that fucking album, dude. Like, dude, I look as good as your dad on a Friday. So many cars, I gotta buy a driveway, and it's like he just says the most ridiculous things, but there are just so many bars on that album I will never ever forget, just because of one, his wild vocal delivery, which he's developed and pushed into all these directions since then. But bro, like just like the production on that album, the vocal range he was showing, and those insane quote, like you never know what Young Thug is gonna say, and he'll say something ridiculous and then top it with the next lyric, and it's a great album.
I would just like to point out, bitch, I'm amigo. I play with kilos. When I put ice on, I am Sub-Zero is probably my favorite bar of the year.
Yeah,
I mean, not I mean,
that,
of the
that,
decade.
that shit was incredible. That's
Yes.
true.
That's amazing. Because I think it was AJ that made the point that one of the things that like I enjoy Young Thug. I think I'm in the same boat where he's not one of my favorite artists, but I enjoy like if a song of his comes on, I'm not finna turn it. But AJ made a good point that one of the great things about him is that he uses his voice as an instrument
Oh
in
yeah.
a way that most people don't. And I think it's pretty cool, pretty unique that like no matter how you feel about him or quote unquote mumble rap, he still brings something new to the table. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So my number 10, okay, so my number 10, every single song on this album to me slaps. Every single one. I don't care what you say. I have not listened to an album from this individual since. And I don't know if it's because I don't feel like that this person can top it, but this is to me if you're gonna have a debut album, this is it. It's In the Lonely Hour by Sam Smith.
Oh.
You weren't kidding about this R&B shit. Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't kidding about that. I was not kidding about that. So
Sap.
whatever it is, what it is. I'm married with
the
2
mood
kids.
down
I mean,
either,
like,
Well, he is married with 2 kids. So it makes
right.
sense.
Like it's not. Yeah.
very
I mean,
depressing album.
so I was super depressing. But so the reason I ended up hearing this album was actually through my wife, through my now wife, who at the time we were dating. She heard, I can't remember what song she heard that she was like in love with the song. I think it was Stay With Me, probably. And so actually, funny enough, the first song we ever heard of his was Money on My Mind. And we heard it because it's a Forever 21 song. We were in Forever 21 and we were like, what the hell is this? So when she heard Stay With Me, she was like, I need this album. I need this, whoever this is, I need this album. So I bought it for her birthday. And she played it endlessly. Like everywhere we went, she had this album in rotation. And it got on my nerves for a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. But as time grew on, I realized how solid this album was. Every single song on the album is not perfect, but you're not going to skip it. You know what I'm saying? Some of them start off slow, but they all build. And it's just kind of the way the instrumentation builds throughout every song without it feeling like you're resetting in the next song. I think the way it's synchronized and it's pieced together really stands out. And so it's 10 tracks. Like I said, I'm not good with attention span. So if you can get an album out the way and get your point across in 32 minutes, that's perfect. So I give it up to Sam Smith. That's probably again, I have not heard anything else that Sam has done in the decade other than Target commercials. But but I really give this album a lot of credit. That's my 10.
I also give credit to Sam Smith for realizing that racism was a thing because nobody knew that it existed until he spoke on it. So I'm glad that he did that.
Until the pioneer Sam Smith pointed out the racism and gave it the name racism. Like nobody knew it existed before then. So shout out to Stan Smith.
I was walking around
forgot
like,
about all that.
I was like, yo, why are people treating me so poorly? And he says because your skin is dark. I was like, oh shit. Wow.
This is it. We
Five
discovered
head.
it. Figured it out. Thanks, Sam. We appreciate you. All right, let's move on to number 9. I guess we can go in reverse order. I think I'm getting all my R&B out the way now that I look at this album list. Geez, I really am. Okay, so number 9 for me is "The Lady Killer" by CeeLo.
Okay.
You know, so I was so glad to remember that this album came out in 2010 and not 2009, like I was initially thinking, because I really, really wanted to include it on here. I was one that was initially upset that CeeLo stopped rapping, but as time went on, I got it. I understood. Especially if you go back and listen to like his 2 solo efforts, where he really throughout the whole thing, he's kind of like, I'm bored of this. Like I don't really want to do this. I kind of want to show you that I can sing and do these things, be versatile.
That Gnarls Barkley influence.
It really was. So like, okay, so here's my thing with that. So he had the Gnarls Barkley hits, and he became, he got in the mainstream eye.
My
Really
grandparents like that album.
That's what's crazy, because between that, now that album is a classic, but that's not 2010, so I'm gonna refrain. But when he dropped, what was the lead single for this album? Jeez, I forgot. Was it? It was "Fuck You." That's right. All right. So when he dropped that, and it became viral and it went big, and everybody was like, "Oh, it's Gnarls Barkley," and I was like, that man's a legend. Like, respect his name. Respect his name. But that album, to me, I think it's a great, like, he does a good job of like pulling the Motown feel and putting it in the 2010 era and doing his style. I wish he would have done a proper follow-up, because I was so excited for that Goody Mob reunion album, and it was so bad.
Nope. I haven't even listened to it.
Just don't. Like, just don't.
But I
Preserve your love of the Goody Mob in 1999 where it belongs. Like, just leave it there. I would go back and listen to One Monkey before I go back and listen to Rage Against the Machine. I'm dead serious. Dead serious.
That's the name of the album?
Yeah.
Wow.
The Age Against the Machine is the name of the album. There's a couple good songs on it, but yeah, it's like 2 or 3, and then just like get rid of the rest. It's so bad.
That's a really bad album title, and I love Rage.
Age Against the Wow.
Age Against the Machine.
What does that even mean? Like, are you like purposely getting older?
The final one of the final tracks on there is called Father Time.
Just leaning all the way in. It's like, we're old as shit, but we still out here, basically. Okay.
But the best part of that whole back end of the album is Big Gip doing pretty much a poem to little kids trying to go to bed, and the whole crux of the poem is your uncle used to sell dope. So if nothing else, go back and listen to that end of it. But anyway, yeah, The Lady Killer, that's my number 9.
All right. Is it on me now?
Whoever.
Yeah.
All right. So my number 9 came out this year, and I'm probably gonna get shot because this might be blasphemy, but I think that When I Get Home by Solange is better than A Seat at the Table. And I love both albums.
Ryan, cut it out. Stop. I'm done.
Hey, I have a question, Hagen.
What's up?
Did you see
I saw things.
that you imagine?
I saw them. I imagined them, and they were there. It was the craziest thing.
But wait.
I do love that song.
But did you see?
I did see. I made a big point about it too when I saw it. But man, like that album, I feel like it just takes whereas like A Seat at the Table was a lot more nuanced in like its lyrics and its subject matter. I feel like When I Get Home is like the opposite of that. It's just kind of more mellow. There's not as much emphasis on the lyrics. It's just all about, the vibes, how everything feels, how one song segues into the other, like the mixing, the sequencing. Bro, you can't tell me that when Gerard transitions into Benz, that is just not like the most galaxy brain. But the transition
Janae Aiko is in the chat.
is galaxy brain as hell, bro. But yeah, like Solange.
Things.
If for any reason you hear this, I Won't Marry You has a great album.
Imagined.
Bars.
Thank you, Obes, for sticking the landing. Thank you so much. Thank you for the setup and the landing. I really appreciate that.
Oh, you're welcome. That's why I'm here.
Solange, give Hagen a chance.
Please.
Oh man.
I
She's
beg of
single,
you.
right?
Yeah, she broke up with her husband earlier this year.
Oh, bro, you need to get on that.
Bro, I'm in the DMs right now.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I was gonna make a
have
joke.
no
I'm gonna
words.
save it.
I
All
have
right.
no words.
I hope
Go
she
ahead,
watches
Ron.
this.
both are
I hope she
great
does.
albums. Like they're both amazing. But if I had to pick
if
one,
you need verification of who it is, Solange, just the person with the wolf style avatar on Twitter.
oh yeah,
Oh wait, no, it's Yoshi now. So never mind. I took it.
yeah, it's Yoshi.
Okay.
It's a cool Yoshi.jpg.
Go ahead, Ron. What
Um,
album did you imagine at number 9?
First, I would like to say, for some strange reason, I also omitted a seat at the table because it definitely would have made this list. I made this list like in all of like 5 minutes sitting at my desk at work today, so apologies. But my number nine, I have a hot take attached to it.
Okay.
Oh,
It's this artist, this particular artist is his best album. Nope, not his best project because he has plenty of great mixtapes, but his best album, Future Hendrix.
okay.
All right. Okay.
Hendrix
right.
is um Hendrix is what I want Future to be. Like I've kind of grown out of like the Dirty Sprite iteration of Future, but once he gets into that R&B type, type Future Hendrix thing, that's where he's at his peak. And this album is like perfect. Like there's one skip on this entire album,
What
but
is it?
even that one skip, it's that Rihanna song. Even that one skip,
What?
I skip that every time. But even that one skip, I can still live with it. But no, this like I love me some Toxic Future because my collection is oh my god, it's such a great song.
Oh yeah.
Bro, that
Such a great
weekend song?
Yeah. So I have a question
That
about
shit
that
bangs.
song. So I have a question about Coming Out Strong.
Is it
So
the
he
part
said,
where he says it sounds like he's tasting dick?
yes, yes. I'm not sure. So what is the lyric there?
Taste
me
Still-
it. He says taste it. I can pull it up on genius.com
Yeah, I was about to say,
right
let me pull
now.
up Genius real quick. Yeah.
Coming out strong.
The
Future.
only time I feel alive is when I
unfortunate
taste.
taste
song
it.
title for that.
But then he says stick.
He
So I'm
says,
like, hey, look, if Future wants to come out on the track, that's fine by me. It seems like he said that and nobody ever said anything about it. So
the official lyric is the only time I feel alive is when I take. But I swear there's another word there. He says
Yeah.
There is
no.
another word there.
I'm still trying. I'm
That's
still
what
trying
the
to.
official lyrics say.
I'm still trying to figure out if on Mask Off he's saying big fines. Because I promise you that's what he's saying.
he's saying big fire. That's what he's saying. It
He's
sounds
saying
like
big
big
fines.
fines.
Big fines. It sounds
Makes more sense, I think.
Yeah. Like the whole song is dedicated to them.
Which is, I mean, hey, that's
why
perfectly
his
fine
mask
by
is off.
me. He took the mask off. He's like, I want y'all to know, Future loves big fines.
But he actually doesn't because he kept him out the club.
Yeah, he doesn't. Oh no, he does, but he's like he hasn't like come to terms with it yet.
Yeah,
publicly.
he can't. He can't
Oh,
tell
so he's
people
got to
in
hold
public.
his image. He can't let. I see.
Right. Right.
That's it. That was a
Yo,
subtle
Future.
response to them. Fantastic. To be fair, that Lil Wayne at your face like land come line threw me off for years.
Because I thought it was Mad Calm.
That's what it sounded like.
That's what it sounded like.
That's
I
exactly.
think
what
I think a lot of these rappers got to take some
Bro, there's
classes
fucking-
on diction and enunciation.
Mumble rappers, bro.
I apologize
Fuck
for
that.
the audio audience. I was pointing at Ron. So if you're watching this visually, you saw the joke. But if you were listening to this, when Ron said that, I pointed at him adamantly because I swear that's what I thought he was saying.
It is what he was saying. He can
My
try to lie.
life is
after
a
the
lie,
fact.
man. My life is a
But-
lie.
Number 8, Hagen. You go first.
Okay, my number 8. I mean, it seems like I just kind of piggybacked off Ron, but my number 8 is Dirty Sprite 2 or DS2, I guess, is the official album. Like,
Okay.
like I feel like
Back to
As-
back Future.
as much as I love Hendrix, I would say that that's his second best project. But I think Dirty Sprite 2 is where Future hit like his like Super Saiyan God 3 peak of just like the buildup of everything before, like you've got him like crying for help over these bro, like this dude is sad. Like Future is sad as shit. But these songs go, and like from start to finish, you got fucking Stick Talk, Colossal, um, Redacted Master. Like you got
Redacted.
like from start to finish, like DS2 is just a sugar high. Like it is a journey.
Hagen, you all right?
Oh my god. Redacted mess.
I don't want to. I hate to explain the joke. For those that are not aware, Hagen is white. So yeah, fill in the blanks if you don't know the album title. All right. So
The thing that's funny is like the redacted in this instance is not actually like a racial slur.
it's not necessary at all.
I've like tried to not use that word at all because like there's like headphone stuff and there's like the master unit and the slave unit. It's like they need to come up with better terms for these. Like these are the official terms for these Bluetooth headphones. Please get better verbiage.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. By the way, question, since Ron actually touched on this a little bit earlier with regards to future albums versus future projects. So if you go on Spotify, they list Monster as an album by Future. Are we considering that an album?
At this point, like, what's the difference between like a mixtape and an album in 2019? Like, what's really
whether it's label back,
time,
I guess.
52 Nights is technically an album as well. So I mean,
56. That's slanderous.
56 Nights. Oh my God, 56 Nights. Excuse me.
wow?
Go to confession.
No, I think it's safe to consider that an album, although it wasn't released.
Yeah, it wasn't released as an album, but then he like re-released it as an album. Anyway,
It's
That's
album
cheating.
quality.
You know what? It's good. It's cool. Yeah. All right, Ron, you're number 8.
I feel like I'm gonna get tossed out the paint for this one.
uh-oh.
But Ryan,
I think we've already had worse.
Yeah, you already know.
I forgot about your list, so this would be surprising me again.
The artist formerly known as Childish Gambino because of the internet.
Okay. No, I ain't mad at it.
This is one of those albums where you just had to be there, man. Like you just had to be there because if I were to play someone's album today and say, oh yeah, that Donald Glover guy, he also used to rap, even though like no, you kind of wouldn't get it, but back then it made perfect sense.
Is that the album where he says "Why you lying? Why you Mufasa"? Was that on that album?
I believe so.
Hey, look, Donald Glover had bars, man. Look. Hold on.
Man, at least you didn't say camp. At least you didn't say camp.
Oh, hold on. I have a penthouse on both coasts.
pH balance. I still hate that line.
Oh, brother.
I still hate that line. No,
Yeah.
Sweatpants is on like 2 of my workout playlists, and every time that bar comes up, I just pull my phone out my pocket. No matter what I'm doing, I'm just like, next. Like it ruins the whole song.
No, man.
And the song is so good. It's so good.
But I will say he was very self-aware back then, and his corny bars, he delivered them in a way where like, okay, I know this is corny, but it's dope at the same time. Almost like peak Luda. Like if I were to say Luda bars, they would be stupid. Like the way he delivered them back in the day. So yeah, I think this is a really good
Luda bars didn't get stupid until I fill her up balloons. Shout out to Luda, my
Oh my God. Jesus.
Shout out to Ludacris. Technically a co-worker of mine.
Ever, dude.
So, I feel like that's the bar that like ended Ludacris's relevancy.
I fill her up balloons.
Everybody was like, okay, all right, this is over. It was fun. It was a good run, but it's time. It's over with. Like,
that's where Ludacris jumped the shark.
That's the jump the shark moment. That's exactly what it is.
The death knell.
Like a parade, Macy's. Was that the same?
I think that was the whole. Yeah, that whole song was. It just kind of everything became more cringe.
It's so bad it's good though. Like that song is so bad that like I can sit there and enjoy that song for what it is.
Hey, the remix go in though.
The remix is the one with like it's like Trina and all of them and like
Yeah, the chicks from
Okay.
Crime Mob.
that was completely random. Okay.
Yeah.
Remixes can be fun because like 9 times out of 10 an artist pulls somebody out of nowhere. Like the big mega remixes where you're like waiting on the remix's big hit. And all of a sudden the artist is like, yo, all right, we got this big person right here in Trina that you've been waiting to hear from. We got Nicki Minaj, who's the hottest in the game. And then we got Diamond from Crime Mob. And everybody's like, oh, where you been? That's cool, I guess.
Hey, reel us back in after I say this because I'm definitely about to take us off path. But Straight to Truth released a remix, and I swear it had 36 niggas on it.
B.O.B. had that I'm On remix before he became on crack.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Was that
video is 9 minutes long. Yes, that video is 9 minutes long.
That's true. Okay. Yeah. I gotta find the longest remix of all time. That'll be another day.
It's easily the One Blood.
You're right.
Whichever one.
Never mind. Conversation.
One of the one of the
Whichever
Swisher
one.
House mixes.
It's like 20 minutes long. Isn't the One Blood remix like 20 minutes long?
Yes.
You don't even know who's rapping on it anymore.
I've never known. I'll never know.
Best remixes of the decade is the Donald Trump song from YG, where he thought he was doing something, and it was like he thought he created this new phrase. And he was like, "Y'all remember? I'm the one that came up with this." And everybody was like, "Bro, we all were saying."
No.
Anyway, my number 8. All right, I'm sorry. Reel it back in. This is why we need D. D, we need you. My number 8 is 24 Karat Magic by Bruno Mars.
Okay.
I was never really big into Bruno Mars.
I'm gonna tell you something. We don't care. We don't care.
But no,
I don't dislike him, but like
this was the one though.
This was it. Like Bruno had a 2016 run that was like incredible. He performed he did like 2 Super Bowls. He put out this album. Like he was on a high, and that's not a pun intended. He was like on this real big.
No, I mean he literally was. He's high right now.
Wow.
Sorry.
Bruno's like
there. Why shouldn't I?
Bruno's like neck deep in cocaine as we speak.
Oh my god. What like help me. So like sometimes white people do things as a collective that confounds even me. Why do white people love Bruno Mars so much? White people love Bruno Mars.
Because it's really like good music to listen to while you do cocaine.
Fair enough.
How do you know that?
I've known many a white in my life.
I have too, but I don't think I've known that one. I probably have known that one and just stayed out of it. All right, cool. We will move on before we get any more cocaine jokes. So number 7, and there it goes. No. Ron, number 7. Let's start with you.
So Ryan, let me ask you a question. What's the name of our website?
thekidswearcrowns.com.
Do you know where that name came from?
The guy who lost to Pusha T in a rap battle.
Exactly. Once upon a time, many moons ago, Drake was my favorite rapper. Like,
wow.
Yeah, I know, right?
Wow.
So, with that said, I like this album so much that when I rebranded my site, I named it after one of his song lyrics. "The Kids Wear Crowns" is a lyric from Take Care. That's my number 7.
Okay.
How the times have changed, because he is absolute ass now.
He is so ass. But he knows it.
I haven't listened to a Drake album completely since Nothing Was the Same, and that album is okay. But I was like, okay, this is where I hop off because I see where he's going now, and his music isn't essential anymore. But anyway, I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about Take Care.
Because this can be a Drake slander album hour if you wanted to, but
yeah, we can crank it up.
I'm perfectly fine with that. Just say the word.
even though this album shouldn't be on the list, considering that The Weeknd was like, oh, he stole like 8 of my songs and put them on this album.
I believe it.
So, and you could tell which ones he stole, but
he still got Party Next Door locked up in a cage.
Right. But
We'll
no,
never
this,
see him again.
but no, this
At
album
least
is
feeding
like,
him good.
Although I'll tell you what, I saw PND in concert in Dallas, and this man literally just had like the whole crowd sing all the songs instead of him singing anything.
That's like simultaneously lit and lazy at the same time.
Shit was. I think it was funny. It was like he was on tour with who was it? That like he had like the dude had like a body double performed the night before in Houston.
oh,
Played with him.
Jeremiah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Jeremiah came out, was like talking about, this nigga don't even sing. There's the crowd singing. Like he did that on stage. And then PND came out and did exactly what Jeremiah said.
That's amazing. That's actually
That
amazing.
That reminds me of the time, like, okay, so long story short, when I was a freshman at UAB, we had a comedy series that came through for homecoming, and it was Alex Thomas, Gary, is it Gary Cole? Is that how you say? Is it the white guy?
Yeah.
Gary, yeah, whatever his name is, and Deion Cole, Gary Owen and Deion Cole.
Gary Owen, yeah.
Yeah, Gary Owen and Deion Cole. And Deion Cole came out for his set, and he was high as hell, like super high. And so throughout a whole bunch of things that he's saying, there's like cracking the audience up. One of the things that he says is, hey, you know how the comedian is lost in audience? He says two things. Give it up for the ladies, or, yeah, man, it's crazy out here. So I promise you. So Alex Thomas was the headliner. This is fresh off the end of Comic View, and like he's kind of a big name, but not a big name for real. And nobody knows who Deion Cole is, and a couple people know who Gary Owen is. So I kid you not, Alex Thomas comes out, and his set is bombing. Like it's like going downhill. And back to back, he hits those two phrases. Give it up for the ladies. It's crazy out here.
It's crazy.
And the whole audience erupts. And he thinks he done hit it, like he thinks he hit like a lick as far as like a joke is concerned. And everybody's dying because Deion Cole just said that very same thing.
Oh, no.
And that's what that reminded me of. I'm sorry, sidetrack.
No.
Go ahead. Finish your statement, Ron, about Take Care, which is where all of this came from.
How did we get here?
Drake.
It doesn't matter.
Drake is how we got here.
But yeah,
Fucking Drake.
back
For real.
when I
Fucking Drake.
back when I cared more about music because there was actually good music, I used to like I used to really study like the sequencing and composition of albums. This album is like perfectly constructed because it's kind of a bell curve. It starts off really slow, and Lord knows is the peak, and then it kind of like slows
such a good
down
song.
again. And it's just perfect. And I'm sorry that Drake sucks now because this is his peak. He gets no better than this. But
Have you listened to Scorpion?
I have absolutely no interest in Scorpion.
I turned
I've listened-
Scorpion off
worth
after
it.
3 songs.
I've listened to that album front to back twice. Don't ask me how I did it, but I did it. I don't remember anything from it other than like the 2 singles.
That was me with More Life.
I don't remember anything from More Life either,
It
other
was
than
background music.
him trying to be a fucking grime rapper all of a sudden.
Isn't that now? Isn't that what he's trying to do now? He's trying to be British.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same thing.
Yes. He sounds more British than the people in London do.
Yeah, I think he's like Skepta or WizKid right now, but anyway.
I'm sick of his shit. Anyway, all right.
But you gotta admire his dedication and ability to fucking like stealing shit.
Yeah, I mean,
Nobody's better.
he's pretty much Hamburger at this point. Like, that's who he is. He's Hamburger the rapper.
True.
I'm tired of
fact.
it. My
You know
number
those,
7. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Those, I think, what was it, like those BASF commercials where the slogan was like, we didn't create it, we just made it better? I feel like that's Drake Cole's whole thing. Like, I didn't create it, I just made it better. Like,
That's what he thinks he's doing.
he's like so unoriginal.
That's what his
Anyway,
fans thinks he's doing.
Yeah.
They were like, oh, what American person was listening to house music before Drake?
All of them?
Chicago? like,
So like everybody in the 90s.
like, yeah, okay. Wrong answer, Alex. Anyway, are we done with Aubrey?
Yeah, we're done. Let's move on.
All right. My number 7 is a little more off the radar. This is kind of like one of maybe 3 off the radar picks I have on this whole list. It's Girls Like Me by Intuition and Equilibrium. I wrote a post about it on Kids Wear Crowns. That's how you should know that this was going to be on the list. It was kind of my like thematic album for college. I listen to it now and go, wow, these songs really resonated with me, and I was trash. So it's funny because like I randomly mentioned that album the other day, and Intuition, who was the rapper on the album, like added me and was like, hey man, like basically he was like, if this is still resonating with you, like you need to find a girlfriend. And I was like, dude, I'm married with 2 kids. The album just slaps. like, and he was like, oh, okay, I get hate it. He's like a rap version of Remy Shand, but I really enjoy. I'm glad somebody got that reference. But I really enjoyed that album. If you hear nothing else from the album, just put it in and hear the opening track, which is "Hold Your Breath," and then hear the back to back of "Homegirl" into "Lonely," and it's just a perfect wham wham combo of songwriting, of subject matter, of lyricism. Like it's just perfect, and that is what makes the album for me. I won't lie. There's parts where it kind of dips off. There's a song or two where it's like, okay, I'm gonna skip this. But that double whammy right there to me was just like it's what makes the album. So that's all I got. Hagen.
I don't know if I'm breaking the rules here, but
Never.
I
There are no rules.
there's 2 albums I can't decide between which one of these I wanted to put at 7. So I'm gonna devote halftime to each one. One is Summertime '06 by Vince Staples. I I absolutely love this album. It's like whereas like Big Fish Theory, like it came out later and it was like this really like chromatic, colorful, futuristic album. But Summertime '06 was like this grayscale kind of reduced just kind of like a dark experience where he's going through the motions of what life is like, you know, as he was growing up in Long Beach, how so many of his fans are white and they say the N word at his shows and it fucks with him, selling dope, being a crip, just it was always like in stark contrast to like his online persona, whereas like he's like super funny and outgoing, but like in his music he's kind of like depressed. And it's just over like these Clams Casino beats. And man, I love that album. I have it on vinyl, like a special one over here. It's autographed. I love it. Um, and then my other one, totally different side of the spectrum, Die Lit by Playboy Cardi. Like the most like sugar rush album. Like that's the most fun. Yes. Yes, Ron. Yes.
That face you're making right now is about to be the image for the post.
Like Die Lit, I'm looking at the Wikipedia page right now. 57 minutes of straight, like I'm slapping my veins right now. Just adrenaline rush.
I'm
Savage.
I'm gonna sound old when I say this. I have no idea what the hell Playboy Cardi said on Earthquake. I don't know.
I don't know what he says on any song.
I just mumble it.
I'll tell you what, though, it sounds fire.
And she with it.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't know. I don't know what he be saying, but it do be fire. That's what I care about.
I just hear Vicky because that's my daughter's name. That's the only thing I hear.
I would rather listen to Playboy Cardi make gun noises for 3 minutes than like half of these rappers like drop bars. Just him going pew, 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 over some insane sugar rush beat. I'm with it. That's 2 albums for 7. I can't pick one.
That's fine.
It was fire. It's true. I don't know. I don't know what he said on any of the songs, but it sounded great. So
And Die Lit.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
He said he's on them beans for real. I'm on them beans for real. He said I'm on them beans for real. I'm on that lean for real. That bag loaded, got it at the top. Something Nickelodeon. Way I got that slime.
Truth in advertising. I appreciate that.
I'm making all the kombucha girl faces. I'm not doing this on purpose either, but I'm really like thinking through the selection.
Please drop Whole Lotta Red. Please, right now. We need a studio album version of Kid Cudi. Please. I'm tired of the YouTube rips.
Number 6. I'm gonna regret this, but back to Hagen.
Oh shit. Number 6 is fucking Flockavelli, bro. By Waka Flocka. The like paradigm shifting album of the decade. Like that. Like
Hey man,
we are still feeling the effects of Flockavelli, bro. Like Lex Luger. Absolutely, bro. Like that album.
Yeah.
Took that shit to the fucking mainstream, like all this aside from maybe like T.I., like that whole subset of what would be called trap music was never really super mainstream. But like now you've got like white people at the fucking like the middle-aged bars going up to Snakes in the Grass and shit, like just like this pure energy of that album and the production. And the impact it had. I usually don't bring up impact, but the impact of Flockavelli, I think we're still feeling it. I could put Flockavelli on right now and play it start to finish with no skips.
Man, let me tell you, Flockavelli was scary hours for me because that overlapped with the Four Loko time. Every time I see a weird
superpowers, bro. Like Flockavelli gives me superpowers.
Oh man,
that's a dangerous combination.
Ryan, this is a reference for you. I jumped down that side flight of stairs at UH.
I remember this time perfectly.
Yes.
Yeah. This is also to give reference of why I never drunk a Four Loko. We have a mutual friend named Daniel Sehorn. Daniel Sehorn is a big dude. This man was a Division I offensive lineman. Daniel's about what, 6'5"?
Yeah, 6'5", like 320.
Yeah, he was 320 at the time. Like he was off, like currently an offensive lineman for UAB. At that point in time, this man had 2 Four Lokos once.
2
and was done. The original recipe Four Lokos.
OG recipe. Jesus.
OG recipe Four Loko. That's when I knew
that fucking poison.
I want nothing to do with that.
I had 1 Four Loko, and I remember at the end of the night, I was with this Asian girl, and I said to her, "Now, y'all see my picture here. I am 100% Nigerian. Both my parents are Nigerian." And I'm looking at this girl. I say, I'm half Asian, and she goes, and I look at her and I go, "You know what the other half is?" She goes, "What?" I go, "Also Asian."
That's like what Hov said, half man, half mammal.
That's how gone I was on 1 can of Four Loko. Never mind if I had a second one on top of that.
That recipe was killing people.
It literally was. Like,
man, that thing was
like
death.
zombie shit. Yeah,
that shit was like a horse tranquilizer, bro.
Yeah,
I was out here wide open on them Four Lokos, bro.
We had some legendary parties with them Four Lokos,
bro.
Like legendary. They should not have been that way.
Like for reference, this is around the same time I actually met Ryan, and he knew me at a much different time in my life. So yeah, we were out here.
We all have a terrible perception. Like everybody met each other at the worst possible time. Like
Exactly.
me, Ron, not female D, but male D, who I need y'all to get out of here. He's the most violent person on Twitter that y'all let just exist. But
more than Teach?
Ron, more than Teach.
Wow.
Like more than Teach. He gets away with more than Teach.
Yeah.
Because he's just funny. Teach is just outrageous. D is just funny. But we all met each other at like the worst possible time. We were like the worst versions of ourselves, and somehow we're all still friends. So yeah, that's great. Four Lokos are terrible. Never go back in time and drink the original ones, I think is my lesson here.
But Flockavelli's not, and if you go back and listen to it, you're gonna have a great time.
Yes.
I think that's what we wrapped around to. Is Flockavelli had terrible influence on us. So good pick, Hagen. Ron, it's your turn.
We're on 6, right? This is
we're on 6.
Okay. 6 is Kendrick Lamar, Good Kid, Mad City.
Okay.
I just don't have words for this album, man, because like as you know, I'm like peak Kendrick stan.
The pinned tweet on our the pinned post on our website that's been pinned for 3 years is your dissertation on Pimp Butterfly. Yeah.
No, really, I made a 20-page dissertation about To Pimp a Butterfly. So
like if you went and got a PhD, then you could just submit that.
Yes. I really might do that. But anyway, with I was okay. So like Ryan said, you would have to go on Two Dope Boys and find music basically. So funny story. While I was waiting for Jay Electronica to drop, which he never did, um, I stumbled across this EP called the Kendrick Lamar EP, and I'm listening to it. I was like, dude's all right. But on the final track, well, the next to last track, drops a line that says, I'm a good kid in a mad city holding a cereal box instead of a Glock. And that line really resonated with me. So when he dropped the title of this album, Good Kid, Mad City, I was like, oh, he's about to do it. And he did
Boy,
it.
he about to do it.
The boy about to do it. And he did. This album is a movie. It's really a movie. It's like cinematic. It's beautiful and it's heartbreaking. And yeah, I just don't have words for this album. It's amazing.
Is he on your list more than once?
Yes, he is.
Okay.
All right.
Yes, he is.
My number 6, I'm gonna go in a completely different direction. I think this is the last of my. No, it's not the last of my soft R&B albums. It gets worse. This isn't even really R&B. It's like whatever you classify Jamiroquai as. That's what it is. Rock Dust Light Star, from 2010. This is my number 6. I had been waiting on this album that I didn't even know was coming. So I got into Jamiroquai, I think like a lot of people, from their video that was on MTV like in the 90s. It was Virtual Insanity, where he's like gliding around the room.
Yeah.
When like I was like 8 years old. I didn't know what the song was about, but I was like, oh, this is dope. Look at how he's moving. Look at the furniture, all this kind of stuff. And so I didn't know the band name until Napoleon Dynamite, when he's dancing to Canned Heat in his moon boots. And so that's when I learned who that group was, and that's when I became a fan of them. And I literally went and like that was still the Kazaa, LimeWire era, and I was downloading like all of their albums.
Oh no, we lost him.
Oh no.
Shit.
No.
No, we're too deep in. He can't. He's got to pop back in.
Hold on, let me hit him up.
Yeah, call him and put him on the mic.
You think he knows?
Probably doesn't.
No, he's definitely still going.
Yeah, he's definitely still talking.
Oh, there we go.
Wait,
we lost the image too.
My stupid
Hey,
computer went to sleep.
Mike. All right.
My stupid computer went to sleep. Where did I leave off?
I have no idea.
Okay,
you were talking about Canned Heat.
Canned Heat.
Yeah,
That's
Canned
right. All
Heat.
right. Okay. So Canned Heat, Napoleon Dynamite soundtrack, all that fun stuff, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, I remember starting to get into their album. Like that was I went in, like that was the Kazaa and LimeWire era. And I was like downloading all of their stuff. And so like I was listening to everything on repeat. And then they dropped like the greatest hits album. And they had a song on there called Radio. And I promise y'all, it's really insane. But I listened to Radio so many times, like the summer after graduating from high school. Like I had Windows Media Player, and it would tell you how many times you've listened to a song. And I swear by the end of the summer, the count was like 602. I listened to that song over and over. And it took until like the 603rd listen to figure out the song was about threesomes. But anyway, Rock Dust Light Star I've been waiting on for a long time. I love that album. When it came out, it was just perfect. It's great road trip music. You put it on in the car, you just listen to it, you vibe, you put the windows down. If your car ain't got no roof, like Young Dro said, then you just kind of blast that out as you're driving down the freeway. But my now wife and I had so many like road trips to that song. We drove to New Hampshire from Birmingham, and we played that album at least 3 times.
That's a long ass drive, my dude.
Yeah, we broke it up.
Damn.
We broke it up in 3 days. We're not insane.
Why were you in New Hampshire?
Work.
Okay.
Funny enough, shout out to UAB. I was working for UAB at the time. My wife had a friend who was living in New Hampshire because she was doing City Year, which is basically what's that thing where people are like going into elementary schools and teaching, but they're like they're not volunteers, but they're not getting paid. They're not certified teachers. Teach for America. It's like another version of Teach for America.
That shit's a scam.
Yeah.
It is. But anyway, they were in New Hampshire. she was in New Hampshire teaching. So we went up to go visit her because she hadn't seen her in years. And my boss at UAB let me turn that into a work trip where I was doing like recruiting visits in New Hampshire and Connecticut, and Massachusetts. So, but anyway, that's why we went. And if we flew, I'd have to pay for her ticket. And I was broke, and I was like, we're not doing that. So we're driving. But anyway, love that album. That reminds me of that time.
In New Hampshire.
Wait a second. Hang on a second. You just said your boss let you do recruiting for the University of Alabama at Birmingham in New Hampshire. Is that what you just said?
Yep. It worked. We got kids from New Hampshire and Boston and Connecticut.
That's wild. How did you get people from there to come to Alabama?
They saw that.
You said you can go to school with black people, and they were like, "Hey, I'm with it."
We were like, "Hey, our out-of-state tuition is $25,000. Your in-state tuition is $32,000. We'll give you a discount."
Oh, easy.
Yeah, that was
like, "Oh yeah, this is cheap." Okay.
You should have sold them on the ability to see games at Legion Field. That would have done it for me.
I hope that was a joke. I hope.
It absolutely was.
Have you seen pictures? It's literally just concrete. I can't wait.
I know, it's terrible. It's terrible.
Birmingham Iron shouts out.
Shout out to Birmingham Iron, man.
Trent, I miss you, bro. Trent,
shout out. I now hate Charlie Ebersol, but whatever.
Blake Sims.
Luis Perez, wherever you are.
Perez, MVP.
Go. Taught himself QB through YouTube. I will root for him forever.
God bless.
All right. Did everybody do number 6?
Yeah.
We done? Okay. Number 5, Ron.
So I had to check the date on this album because I vividly remember downloading this album and burning it to a CD when I had my student job at Bruno Business Library. Shout out to Bruno Business Library. But anyway, and then I took Jeezy Reception out my CD player and put this album in. So I thought it came like much earlier than it actually did. But Big Crit was here.
Yes.
It actually came out 2010.
Yes.
Look at that. By the skin of the teeth.
Top Southern album, period.
Bro, Crit was spitting his ass off on Crit was here, bro.
Crit sounded like a mad Mississippi nigga throughout this album, and I can relate because Demopolis, my hometown, is like 45 minutes away from Meridian, so I totally get where he's coming from, and I feel like he was speaking for me on this album. So like this album like will always like hold a special place in my life because I mean like I can relate to everything on this album, and this is like this is like what I consider to be like Southern rap. I feel like this is like its last stand before, kind of like Hagen said, when the resurgence of trap / crunk shifted into another direction. This is like the Southern rap's last stand with this album. So this is like the last true Southern album in my opinion. So I love this album, and yeah, and Chris still going strong, but it gets no better than this.
That album had a lot riding on it. I just remember hearing him talk about it, and he was like, like I've got like dude had like See Me on Top 1, 2, 3, and 4 before that. He had like almost 10 mixtapes that got no traction, very little fan base outside his hometown, and like he was like, fuck it, like I'm gonna make one more mixtape, and if it don't take off, I'm gonna go back to doing what the fuck ever.
Chris said he was living in Atlanta, and if this album didn't hit, his dad called him and was like, "Man, just come home." He was about to pack up all his belongings and go home if this album didn't hit. And fortunately, he got hooked up with Johnny Snipes of Cinematic, and then ended up getting that terrible Def Jam record deal. But anyway, I'm glad this album hit, man, because it like
Return of Forever is great mixtape too.
Yes.
Like the name of the album Crit Was Here was just like his stamp. It's like, like if it don't work, it's my flag in the dirt, like I was here, like this is what I try to do, and I'm with you. Like that album's fantastic.
Yes.
I'm making my own beats. What the fuck?
Number 5, Hagen.
My number 5 is Pinata by Madlib and Freddie Gibbs, the first one, not two, the first one. That
Oh.
that album came out. So I was really big into Freddie Gibbs when he dropped the Babyface Killer EP. Like I, in my mind, I'm like, man, like Freddie Gibbs is like this really raw, like gangster rapper that like you don't really hear this like not like in the mainstream anymore with like the conviction he says everything he does. He's this banging Gary in Indiana dude with honestly some pretty forward production too. So when like the idea was teased like, hey, we're gonna put Madlib and Freddie Gibbs on an album together, I'm like, this could go one of two ways. It could go really well or it could go really bad. And I think with this album, with this like 100% sample heavy, loop heavy production from Madlib, he always has great production. But I think Freddie Gibbs really proved that he wasn't, kind of put in a box as to what he can do. He kind of expanded not just his sound, but also his fan base. And it just like from start to finish, the album has like a cinematic vibe. Like it starts out with the clip from the movie, the sample is like, if you have to walk on 10 dudes to make $1, then you walk on them. Is only the strong survive, and like you get like that whole ethos where like Freddie's like this really hungry dude that kind of got betrayed by his label by Jeezy. He's got a pretty good diss track for Jeezy on the album too,
Yes.
where like he talks about like they was 30 deep at Magic City and Gucci was there and you didn't bust a grape, you was shook from the gate. Like man, I love Freddie Gibbs. Pinata 2 is solid. Shadow of a Doubt is a good album, but like for me, like Pinata, the first one, even going back and listen to just the instrumentals, because like as a beat album from Madlib, it works. Just all around, no skips on the album, fantastic.
Cool. My number 5, I was torn between this album and its follow-up. I couldn't really decide which of the two I really wanted to put there, but after much deliberation, I went with Sir Lucha's Left Foot, Son of Chico Dusty,
Great album.
as my number 5. It was between that and Vicious Lies, but when I went back through Vicious Lies, I was like, I didn't like this as much as I liked Left Foot. I felt like Left Foot, you can't really say that Big Boy of all people had a coming out party, but Sir Lucius Left Foot was really his time to be like, look, really establish himself. I mean, he's already, y'all know what I'm trying to say. It was like his turn to say.
It's like he's overshadowed by Andre all the time.
Right. And I'm just as much of a lyricist. I can do this. I can do this on my own. Yes, I'd like to have my partner back, but like, I don't need anybody to stand out and be successful. And just like from the Feel Me intro and Daddy Fat Sacks, like, you know what you in for with that album. And it just kind of goes on from there. Like, there's genuinely not a bad song. Like, I probably skipped Tangerine, but I'm gonna save the Cujo Goody slander because that's my boy.
Tangerine goes in. T.I. had a late night looking for some great boy.
It's just
Sean Blockers.
Man,
yes.
Cujo and Timo can ruin a song. I love them though.
They can.
I love
They can.
But they could just like take it. It's up here and just be like, come down here. But they're legends, so no slander. So anyway, yeah, that's my number 5.
That's a great pick.
I got a backup plan to a backup plan to back up my backup plan.
Backup plan.
Still a goat.
Bro, like that's the album that Gucci said he was in the same cell as Tyler Perry.
Yes.
I make movies. I'm in Tyler Perry's cell. That's such a good song too.
That's a good song. Yeah.
Number 4. I think we'll rotate to Ron. Ron and I might have the same number 4. I got to go back and look real quick.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
Yeah, this is if you've ever heard AJ
no,
and
we
I
don't.
have a conversation or watched any of Politics as Usual, we swear by this artist. We think he's the next great R&B artist, except he's kind of in an unfortunate situation right now with his record label. If you're familiar with season 3 of Insecure, he was on the Coachella episode, Gallantology. I'm pretty sure nobody has heard his album before.
I've never heard of this man.
Don't do yourself a favor. When we're done with this, spin Gallantology. It is amazing. It's And not to discredit anyone else, but I feel like it's what people want Frank Ocean's music to be. but but no, it's a fantastic album. He has the really nonsense. He makes like his lyrics are like non sequiturs after non sequitur, but they're like really cool. Like he opens the song and says, I'm a headless horseman on endless sand dunes," and you're like, what the hell is he talking about? But you listen to the rest of the song, and you're like, oh, okay, this dude is really dope. He could sing his ass off too. So Gallantology. I discovered this album by accident because I thought the album cover was cool. I pressed play on it. I was blown away. It's only like 2 or 3 years old, so please, please, please go check it out.
Hey.
Uh, we're on 4, right?
Yep.
My number 4 is Triple X by Danny Brown.
Whoa.
Oh.
I remember knowing absolutely nothing about Danny Brown, and like I'm not gonna lie, like this is back when like I was really heavy into Pitchfork. Like I just remember I got on Pitchfork one day. This is like what, like 2011, and
Yeah,
then
2011.
yeah, and then I just saw the album cover, and like sometimes like like if the album cover speak to you, sometimes like it does its job, like it makes you want to listen to it. I was like, okay, this is really weird, and I went and I downloaded it, and just from the opening moments, like Danny Brown just like comes out, and what he's saying, like there's like an underlying pain to it, but his wordplay is good, and like that album is like the up and down of a high. So it's like it starts out on like this really like intense upward trip, like he just did some crazy drugs, but then towards the middle of the album the high comes down and you're working on the come down, and it gets really dark and it gets really somber and it gets really introspective until it kind of reaches like the crescendo of the final track with these like really dissonant, inharmonious horns in the background kind of working, where to like complement like Danny's voice cracking, where it sounds like a guy who's just rapping on his deathbed, and like kind of like a similar like a situation with Crit. With Crit was here, it was like here's another dude who's kind of put everything into like music and using that as a way to get out of what he was doing before, and like even on Grown Up, he would like the song that came after that, he was like, look man, like if it's not this, it's back to selling crack. Like, and you can tell like he's rapping about like leaving the oven on to stay fucking cold in the Detroit winters. Like that album hurts, but like at the same time it's really fun too, and it just goes in all these directions. And like as much as I love um Atrocity Exhibition, I think it's great at being like an outsider rap like post-punk album. I don't think he's done anything quite as good as that album, as 30.
And Ryan, let me actually hop in and piggyback right here because if not for my number one, this would be my number one album. My number two album is Danny Brown Triple X, and I was a Danny Brown fan for a minute, but I was I was never like that big of a fan. But then I listened to Triple X, and I swear I've never heard anything like it. And kind of like Hagen said, it you don't realize that you just listened to a concept album until you reach the last track, because the first track is 30, the last track is Triple X. So he goes through, and the first album, because he does his albums like kind of like A side B side, like his albums are always like, huh? Oh yeah, his albums are always like 19 tracks, and he does like an A side B side. So the B side, he he pitches down his inflection and he raps in his normal tone, and then you're like, oh shit, this is a concept album, and he's rapping about him ODing like at the, and it's a fantastic album. It's not for everybody, but
Oh yeah, his voice is not for everybody, but like his voice is part of what appealed to me, because it was just so different. Like you didn't hear anybody that sounded like Danny Brown.
And I will say he's such a talented rapper because he finds these pockets, and the lyrics are so weird that you don't even realize that he can really rap. Because I'm gonna give you my favorite bar from this album, man. Um, 31-year-old Run apologizes for saying this bar, but You safe havens on West Craven with ex Cravens.
Fuck a bitch
mouth
mouth until
to
fucking
a fucking
face
face
cave.
caved. That's a
Hit
pocket.
cams in her house. I caught her masturbating, extorted her for the cash. Now yo ass paying.
That's a bar. So Danny
That whole
Brown,
song is bars.
yes,
That whole song is bars.
Danny Brown is a fantastic rapper, and Triple X is like his magnum opus. Yes.
The first Danny Brown. Oh, go ahead.
I mean, shouts out to Brown, the Adderall Admiral.
Yes.
The first Danny Brown verse I ever heard was his verse on Ego Death by Bus Driver with Aesop Rock.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, that verse I was like, okay, I gotta listen to this dude. Like that was like that whole verse. I was like, because I can't remember how he starts off the verse, but I just was like, you could be passively listening to the song, and as soon as Danny Brown comes in, you're like, oh, wait, excuse me, what? Like,
He demands all of your attention.
yeah. So I'm gonna have to go back and re-listen to Triple X. I think I heard like bits and pieces of it, but never all the way through. So I'll probably do that tonight after I get my son to sleep.
Good. And
All right. I guess we're on 4. We're on 4.
No,
Yeah,
we're on
4.
That where we are?
4.
Yeah, we're on 4. Because my 5 was Sudalus's left foot. Ron, you did your 5?
No, we can't be on 4 because I just did my 4.
Wait, aren't you on 4, Ryan?
Y'all hear me?
Yeah. You should be on 4,
Yeah,
right?
weird. Did I pull the headphone out? Oh, okay. That's better. Somehow I pulled the headphone out.
Okay.
I'm a G. All right. Anyway,
this is your number 4, right?
My number 4. We're gonna deep dive into this later. We can kind of skip over it for now because it's coming later on. It's to Pimp a Butterfly, by Kendrick Lamar. So break out your Hotep means. We'll save it for later on.
Oh man, I wish I could see you on right now.
In the webcast. So let's move to number 3. We'll start with you, Hagen.
Ron's gonna hate my number 3. My number 3 is Blonde by Frank Ocean. I think Blonde, I like Channel Orange, but like I wasn't really crazy about it. Like I was way more into The Weeknd because that came out around the same time period as like the House of Balloons and Thursday and what's the other, Echoes of Silence.
Yeah.
But like when Blonde came out, it was this like it still had like that same kind of like off kilter quality to it where like he's just like at some point you think he's just being weird just to be weird, but at the same time it works. But it's also over this really like dreamy dream like this like real dreamlike production of like Ivy and all the vocal inflections and I feel like when it gets to Nights is like, which is like the central pillar of the album, like you get like a microcosm of what the album is, because Nights is really like 3 songs in one, and I think a lot of artists kind of use beat changes and song transitions as crutches because they can't really conceptualize multiple songs in a sequence in an album, so they just kind of
Kanye
into one. Well, from like the Neptune's production assistance, Tyler coming in on some of it. You've got what was at the time, and I think still to this day, Frank Ocean's best, most introverted writing. It meanders a lot, but I think that kind of lends to the idea that this album kind of exists in a transcendental state where you're in kind of a dreamlike state when you're listening to it. It's really enigmatic. And it's just a really intoxicating album. Like I can put I can put Blonde on right now, and I'm not saying these albums sound similar, but the effect it has on me is really similar to Rumors by Fleetwood Mac. Like that, I feel like is like
Whoa.
Yes.
Hold on now, House.
I get like really similar vibes, like nothing sounding the same at all, but just this kind of like melancholic, introspective, tumultuous, dream-like album is what I get from both of those.
So the vibe you get from this album is everybody's fucking everybody, and we're like on the verge of breaking up at any second.
Yes, it sucks, but it's also good.
But I mean, it later proved to be true. Never mind. Anyway, all right. So, whoa, layers. Okay, Ron, we have your number 3.
much like go back to the point of Saba. I think tragedy can like awaken something in an artist. This is a rapper I really didn't care for prior to this album, and this album is so painful that I feel like he was never the same, and he never made anything as good. Absolute Control System. It's like I said, I love this album, but it is painful to listen to, especially Book of Soul. If you don't know the story, his then fiance, girlfriend slash girlfriend, I think. I don't know if maybe he was planning to propose to her, but anyway, she committed suicide, and he dedicated that song to her, and it's just painful to listen to, but it's a phenomenal album. And this is the album that made you think like, okay, like Ab Soul is like Kendrick's heels right now, but that wasn't true. But this album still remains as one of TDE's top albums. I think it's like a top three TDE project. Um, but yeah, it's just so painful to listen to, but it's phenomenal.
Okay.
Speaking of depressing albums, but not as depressing. My number three. So I used to like ride hard for this artist like back in the day, but then I got older and realized he was a bit of a creep. So I don't anymore. But I'm kind of torn because he still makes good music sometimes. And so I'm just like, ah, man, I'll never promote you in public except for this one time. So my number three album is 2012's Bows and Arrows by Bus Driver. Um, it is such a damn good album. He has no business singing on any track. Like in the same way that Future was singing on his early what was that one where we got Jesus LOVE, like it's that level, it's that level of bad singing that works. The first single from that album was Kiss Me Back to Life, which is just a trippy video, but the whole song is about basically trying to rekindle a relationship that's gone, that's dead and gone. And you can hear like the pain in his voice of trying to like plead to her. Like the opening lyric is, I plant a kiss on both your cheeks. Oh Jesus, I missed the whole thing. I have to pull it up. But anyway, like the opening lyrics of Kiss Me Back to Life kind of tell you what's about to happen on this album. And the whole album is just that kind of pain all the way through. It's bitterness and pain, and it's depressing. Like the opening bars are, I plant a kiss on both your cheeks. We make love so you won't go to sleep, because your face can inspire global peace or leave me dead in your arms. Like that's how he starts this album, that he's trying to. And so eventually he reveals that the album is about an engagement that ends up falling apart because she was cheating. And so he was like desperately trying to hold on to her, but couldn't do it. Basically, she still left. So it's songs like that. There's a song on the album called Here's to Us, which I'm not going to recite the lyrics because this is a family household right now. But the opening of it is like him insulting her, like visually. Like I think the opening bars to Here's to Us is like, you have a face like an impaled vagina. Like it's
Jesus.
like, yeah, like it's pain.
Jesus.
The whole album is just pain. And it's kind of depressing. It's very sad, but it's worth the listen because it's all covered up through like eccentric Euro pop jazz stuff that he masked the songs through. So yeah, I love Bows and Arrows. It's spelled BEAU $ EROS. Yeah. So it's a great album. It's a great album. If you hear nothing else of Bus Driver,
I'm gonna listen to that.
Bow and Arrows is worth a listen. So we'll move to number 2. We can start with Ron here.
I've already stated my number 2, Danny Brown, Triple X.
Oh yeah.
Greatest rapper ever. That's what he calls himself, and it is.
Can we say that like that song has the best opening bar on a song I've ever heard?
A homie, a magician
with the tech, make a chain disappear and reappear on his neck.
That's fire.
Oh,
yes.
Oh, Danny Brown, God bless you. Protect you at all costs. All he does is like stream on Twitch now, but
oh, he appeared on the New Negroes season 1 on that soundtrack. Yeah, he's like on the first video they did. And it's hilarious.
Please watch his Twitch. Please watch his Twitch. He's hilarious.
All right, Hagen, your number 2?
My number 2 is Good Kid, Mad City. Like I feel like we already went in depth about it. Like that album, just like So like, here's a funny story about that album. It's back when people were still doing like MediaFire and like Mega Upload to download music and stuff. So I made a fake file and a fake album for it. It was actually a link to Krayshawn's album. I forget what the name of it was at the time. But I made the link to Krayshawn's album, and it had like over 300,000 downloads. And like I made a joke and like at her and said like my fake download for Kendrick got more like listens than your whole album had sales, and she fucking blocked me.
That's mean. Yeah, that's surprising.
I was an asshole. I was an asshole. It was 2012, bro. I was like 20 years old. But yeah, like that album is like he said, it's like a movie. It's like a storybook. It's framed extremely well. Like a lot of like not just rappers, but musicians in general want to make concept albums, but they have a really hard time executing. One rapper I think that is super guilty of this, and I like these albums I'm criticizing at the same time. But Lupe, like I feel like Lupe has so many concept albums that are just like very barely a concept album. Like great album, I love it. Concept album, because without going and looking up what he explained about it, do you really know the narrative of that album? In like that applies to artists in general, but I feel like more than once now, because even after this, he did it with To Pimp a Butterfly, he did it with Damn, but with this album, it flows just like this really well-paced movie, and it's got some ups, it's got some really low downs. Like Sing About Me that's like a song that I can probably hear right now and someone will come in the room and cut some onions, because just the individual stories, his ability to weave narratives together. I think that Kendrick is going to go down as one of the greatest ever. I think he's already, to me, one of them, because he's dropped 3 incredible albums back to back with Good Kid, Mad City, To Pimp a Butterfly, Damn. He kind of moves in silence. We don't really know what he's doing right now. He could come out and drop another incredible album, and I honestly believe he will. Like, I think that Kendrick is a generational talent, and he deserves all the flowers.
Yeah, allow me to just go ahead and segue off that, because you already know what my number 1 is.
Well, before you do that, I do want to say that Kendrick Lamar made a song about the dangers of alcohol abuse, and it became an alcohol turn-up song.
That was the point, though. That was
I know.
the point. Yeah,
that's the.
It became a victim of itself. So
right.
So okay.
Meta.
So wait, meta. You're jumping into your number 1. Let me talk about my number 2, because it's arguing time.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Here we go.
My number 2 is from an artist that hasn't released an album since 2016. It's a shame, really. It's My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy.
Okay.
By Kanye West.
Fire.
That was almost my number 1 album.
I cannot leave it off this list. I have my gripes about Kanye. I can't stand what he has become, or what he kind of has secretly always been, but we just ignored it.
I'm about to say he's always been this person.
But I don't know how else to explain it other than pretty much every track is perfect. Like, it's epically produced. It's not, the features work well. The sequencing works well. Like, everything about it is just
where you get the first appearance of like CEO Kanye, where like he's getting people, like it's not just Kanye and some people in the studio, it's like Kanye and all these incredible creative minds being flown out, working through these crazy, like elaborate, like I think Sahai said that everybody had to wear suits during the recording session for that album, like these super dapper ass suits. They would wake up at like 4 a.m. and go get like a really lavish breakfast with each other, and they'd be in the studio in those suits until like 6 p.m. And you've just got all these creative juices flowing and bouncing off each other, and Kanye is just getting the best out of everyone there. It's super elaborate. Like on all of the lights, you have like
I was going to get into that.
You have, like,
all of the features.
10
I
uncredited
have a credit on
features.
all the lights.
Elton John, Nicki, like I
Rihanna,
wouldn't be.
Alicia. Hold on. Here's the whole feature list.
Please pull it up because I bet
Rihanna is Rihanna, Alicia Keys, John Legend, The Dream,
Okay.
Fergie, Kid Cudi, Elton John, Ryan Leslie, Charlie Wilson. Charlie Wilson appears out of nowhere. Tony Williams, and the singer from LaRue, Ellie Jackson.
That's
Bear in mind, this man called Alicia Keys just to get her to go, oh, whoa, oh, whoa, oh. That's her
Worth
only
it.
contribution to the song.
Worth it. 100%
absolutely.
Wait, was this the album where Kanye would like shit it on T-Pain in the studio?
Probably. I think that's the
Yeah,
one T-Pain
maybe.
was
Yeah,
on.
that was unforgivable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
T-Pain
he
deserved
deserved it.
more, but that's another
Yeah.
discussion. No,
My
he didn't deserve it. He deserved more than that.
my only gripe, and like maybe this isn't even a gripe, but like Hove's verse on Monster has not aged well. Like I think
It
that
was bad back then.
It was bad at the time, yeah.
there's one part of the song where he says he rapes and pillage a village, women and children. Like Jay-Z got on wax and said that he rapes children. Like that's a real thing.
He did, and it was weird at the time.
It was like that's the worst part of the album. But you know what? Fuck it. Everything else around it is fine. So we're just gonna overlook it.
Lost in the World is a masterpiece.
I keep a Trojan.
Who will survive in
Liner.
America?
We allowed Kanye to get on the song and hit one note on a piano for 30 seconds, and we called it genius.
That's the hardest.
It was though.
That is the best.
That's the fucked part. It was genius.
That is the best Kanye song. Like, I'll die on that hill. That Runaway is like the peak Kanye. That is the most he has ever been himself on a record.
For better and for worse.
Absolutely.
For better or for worse.
Shouts out to Pusha for the verse on that too. My goodness.
Yes.
You guys
The
heard
song
story
is not
about,
the same without Pusha.
You guys heard the story about how Kanye got pushed to produce that verse, right?
No.
So like he had done like a couple versions of like a verse, and Kanye literally said to him, "Was like, bro, you gotta give me more than this." so like Push was dating his now wife at the time. So he was like very much like deeply in love. He had trying to leave that whole like bitches and hoes persona behind. So Push said he had to go into a room and like really like dig deep into like who he was before he met his now wife, write the verse, and then sort of like be by himself to get himself out of the mode that he had to get into to write.
That's crazy. Like, dude, Kanye just has the ability to just get the best out of people. Like, well, he did. I don't know about now, because that thing that came out this year was fucking terrible. But
I've not listened to.
So was whatever he did last year. Whatever the Yay and the Kids See Ghost.
Is good. Kids See Ghost is great.
It can all go to hell. All of it.
I love Kids See
Get it out of here. Get it out of here.
Is awesome. That's a great album.
2 minutes. Get out of here. So, okay. So we're on number ones now. So, Ron, we're going to save your dissertation for the end.
Oh, that's perfectly fine.
Hagen.
I'm going to take us away.
Okay. Hagen, I'm going to let you go first with your number one.
Can I just say that I appreciate all of you, or both of you, I should say, or all, for not having Chance the Rapper on this fucking list.
Why would we do that?
I don't know.
Why would you even offer that suggestion as a possibility?
Because people really like acid rap, and that's one of those albums that I just never really got. I never got acid rap at all.
I actually like 10 Day more, but that's another story.
I think I Love My Wife, the album.
Oh, I love my wife. I love my wife.
Who was it that called? I think it was Anthony Fantano that called The Big Day a 20-track torture chamber.
Wow.
Please go watch that review.
Wow.
If you want to watch a verbal murder of an artist, watch Anthony Fantano's review of The Big Day by Chance the Rapper. Red flannel bathed in Chance's blood is brutal. Anyway, my number one album of the decade is a Kanye West album, and if you had,
you better not.
I'm about to do it. I'm about to do it.
You better not.
If you had asked me a year ago, it would have been Dark Fantasy. But in 2019, it's the album where
I'm ending this chat.
Oh,
how so when Kanye made Dark Fantasy, like we already said, he was maximalist, pushing everything in all directions, super intricate, layers upon layers.
Are you about to say Jesus?
How do you follow that up? You followed that up. He decided the best way to follow it up would be to strip it all down, and that into this heartbreaking exploration of what it's like to realize that you're a monster. I think Yeezus is the best album of the decade.
and Ryan is laughing because he knows my spiel about this album.
We've
I
talked about
hate
you hate that
everything
album.
about
This album is absolute. I'm not going. I'm not going. Okay, it's your turn. It's your turn. State your case.
If you would have said Life of Pablo, I'd been okay. But okay, all right, go ahead.
I think The Life of Pablo is one of his better albums, but that's a whole other thing. I, from the
Hurry
get
up,
go,
man.
like the all right. So with Yeezus, he's got this really Eurocentric, like in terms of like Paris. It's a very Parisian album. He's got Geseffelstein. He's got Daft Punk on this thing. He had
Actually, Hagen, let me interject. Sorry. I'm gonna ask you one simple question. Okay, computer or kid?
Kid A.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. Continue.
Yes, I'm a Kid A person. Side note, In Rainbows is actually my favorite Radiohead album.
Okay.
But like of the two, like the litmus test, like the Radiohead and litmus test, Kid A. And for the same reasons that I like Kid A, I like Yeezus. Where and they're kind of similar, where they just kind of perfected their art in the genre, or they might have even perfected the genre, so they do something completely off the fucking wall to follow it up, and they execute it so well, like from start to finish, just the super abrasive synths on site that just like they like grab me by the shirt and pull me in, and like it's like that, like the alcohol breath in my face, and it's intense. And then you get to fucking New Slaves, New Redacted, I'm sorry.
You
Like
start
you
feeling
got
yourself, man.
it's Kanye at his angriest. It's Kanye's what the hell?
Right? I think this.
I do hear it. What the
I do
fuck
hear
is
that.
that?
That's Kanye on Yeezus, actually. It's this man who
perfect.
felt like he was like being put in a box where he couldn't be creative, whether it was from his music or his fashion, and it's just kind of him just lashing out in the best way that he could. And like on New Slaves, you've got this Hungarian band named Omega that probably no one has heard of, weaved in with a Frank Ocean sample. Like he got Frank Ocean to come out of the Galapagos off of riding tortoises to come in the studio.
You should have kept the nigga enough.
Like Blood on the Leaves, like you've got like these demonic horns that he got from Tonight over a Nina Simone sample. Like most people would see that as like a song about, like the Jim Crow era, like juxtaposed with this really dark tale of like a toxic romance. Like if anybody else had done that, it would have been blasphemy, because it probably would have came out horrible. But I think that every moment of that album just works.
That also is a riff on Down for My Niggas.
True. And it works great.
I know I'm wearing the shirt, but I'm just saying. Anyway, I hate that album. That's my only contribution to this segment.
Yeah.
I hate that album. I hate it with every soul and fiber of my being. I do. I hate Bound to.
Bound to is kind of out of place. I won't lie.
I hate I Am a God. I hate all that.
As they say, no cap. There's one good song in that album, and that's "I Am a God." That song is perfect.
Yeah,
I hate
it's
that
my
song.
least favorite song on the album.
I don't like I Am a God. Bound to is
Guilt-
my favorite song.
Guilt Trip, bro. The fucking cellos on Guilt. I'm standing
Trash.
up right now.
Trash.
Whoa, letting me go. Whoa, whoa.
Trash.
Like Pete Cuddy with the cello. Oh man, I love Yeezus.
Bound to is fire. I don't know what y'all are talking about. Bound to is incredible.
It is,
The
but it is
first,
out of place.
the first 15 seconds are bound to a fire until he starts rapping.
Oh, and then when Charlie Wilson comes in, because Charlie Wilson makes everything better.
Oh yes, he is
Even
incredible.
even though
yes.
Narado said he's gonna make his fist run in and out of his life whenever he sees him. um. Anyway, all right. So my number one. Let me just take you. Let me give you a story. Let me just take you down the road here, because the running joke of our website, if you don't know, is that I am this artist apparently. But
Yes.
so going back to my number 3 album with Bus Driver, I became a big Bus Driver fan in college because oddly enough, I figured out that he sampled a song from the Parappa the Rapper uh, video game. He sampled the second stage, which is a car rap, in one of his songs. And that's how I discovered who he was. Dead serious. That's how I discovered his music.
That's amazing.
And through him, I actually learned about a couple other artists. So Intuition, or No Can Do, and then Intuition, because I heard No Can Do is its mixtape. Intuition hosted that mixtape, and then I heard a song that No Can Do did with this guy named Open Mike Eagle, and it was a song called Unapologetic Art Rap. And the beginning of the song is them talking about how Tom and Jerry had a slave mammy every other
they
episode.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about this dude. Like, I heard him on a couple different mixtapes, and I was like, all right, cool. But it wasn't until somebody recommended a remix to a song No Can Do did called Hurry Up and Wait that he was on. And I was like, okay, I like this verse. Let me check this dude out. So somebody recommended that I check out an album initially called Animal Hospital. I listened to it. It was all right. I kind of liked a couple songs. I didn't think much of it. If you have not heard of Mike Eagle, or if you have not seen this video, go on YouTube and just type in Open Mike Eagle qualifiers laundromat, and you will get what I think. Jesus, really? Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
My thing went and did the whole relog in thing again. Anyway, so what you will get is this wonderful video of him just kind of rapping a song about being a father and anxiety and finding your place in life and just kind of really standing on your own. And I became a fan. That song is off the album Dark Comedy. Dark Comedy to me is the quintessential Mike Eagle album. He has done a better album in terms of Brick Body Kid Still Daydream, but I can't put that above this. I absolutely cannot. Dark Comedy is a perfect album. I put Hagen on this album.
He did. It was a good album. I really liked it.
If you want an idea of who an artist is, this is the one to start with. It opens up with kind of a melancholy song in terms of Dark Comedy Morning Show. And it's just kind of him kind of lulling through the beginning of it, just kind of talking about like not really understanding his place in the world. And, you know, it just like, I think the opening bar is Dark Comedy, cold as the ocean, at a lull, and LOL, because nobody seems to know when I'm joking. And so it's just kind of trying to find that balance. And as he dives into the album, he tends to kind of jump more into himself. There's a song called Very Much Money, where he just kind of talks about essentially being broke and all of his friends being broke, but they're just really creative people. And if only people could really see them for who they are and really see like what their potential is. And then he immediately flips that song into a joke song called Doug Stamper with Hannibal Buress. Like Hannibal Buress has a rap on there.
Doug Stamper.
Hannibal Buress has bars on that song.
He has bars on that song. He really does.
He tells you not to go get a Civic, right? Was it a Civic or an Accord?
He said don't drive. He said don't drive a Honda Civic. That's a girl's car.
Unless that's all you can afford.
And then he was like, that's a very affordable car, and those are compact cars. So like, don't let me judge your life. Like, but just like even the back half of the album, like from Idaho onward, it's this kind of deep, dark, moody album that still hits home. Like Idaho is about him driving in the middle of the night from one show to the other, and they're high as hell, thinking they're gonna die because he can't see the road, and he's sleepy. He wants to go to sleep, and his co-pilot fell asleep too. So he's like trying to narrate that whole situation. He does Death Mate Black, which is like his riff on dealing with some of his issues with religion, and then Big Pretty Bridges is how he ends the album, and it's just perfect. Like it is a quintessential "this is who I am," and it builds the foundation for every album and project he's done afterward, including the New Negroes on Comedy Central. It's the foundation of who he is, and that's how he came into his own, and that's why I really enjoy that album.
I will say, I listened to that album on the way to Atlanta one day whenever you recommended it, and I ran it back. It's not often that like I listen to an album the first time and immediately run it back. That's a damn good album.
So, Ron, it's time for your thesis.
Let's get it. He's pulling up the notes right now.
So yeah, I currently have my elbow patch blazer on.
All the Hotep memes are ready.
Yeah, pull out the syllabi. But no, seriously.
Where's your kufi?
All the
but no, seriously. I feel like often artists like go into the studio like, man, this is gonna be my classic. This is gonna be my classic. But sometimes it's just like serendipity because if you don't know the original story, by the way, my number one album is To Pimp a Butterfly. So Kendrick uncovered this like long lost Tupac interview that Tupac did like in like France or something, and it's not it's like a video clip, and it's not on YouTube anywhere. So he was like, I'm gonna name this album To Pimp a Caterpillar, which spells out Tupac. It just so happens one of his friends wrote a poem about a butterfly at the same time, and then he was like, oh shit, no, all these things happen at the same time. So I feel like this album, it's and by the way, I hate when people do the things where you have to compare rap to something to make it seem more important. Like, oh, this isn't rap, this is jazz, or this isn't. But no, seriously, this album is like literary. It's the easy comparison like people make is of course Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird, but to me it's Man Child in the Promised Land in album form. It's he talks about taxes. He talks about being a young man from Compton, going back to Africa, seeing the effects of the apartheid, and coming back to the United States and seeing what that's doing to his community, and just the structure of this album. I don't think people realize how tough that is to pull off because the album is a poem. After every 3 tracks, he drops like a stanza of the poem, and he keeps adding a line after line after line, and you're listening to it like, what the hell is he talking about? Then he gets to the end and he says the poem in its entirety, and then it fades into that Tupac interview where he's actually splicing interview questions with the Tupac interview. And like this, I've listened to a lot of albums in my life, but first listen, this is the only album that had this effect on me. Like out of like every Outkast album I listened to, out of every Radiohead, out of every Miles Davis album I listened to, like this album is the only album that had this effect on me first listen, where I was just like, I am listening to something like transcendent, like something like timeless. And like I said, there's not enough. Like basically, read my 20-page dissertation on To Pimp a Butterfly, but it's a magnificent album. He does get slightly hotepy, but
extremely.
Yeah, no, but much
He's
to
a
Hagen's
prototype.
point, right. But much to Hagen's point, when Kendrick comes up with a concept, he executes, because there are like so many features on this album, and but the thing is, he would call people into the booth, and he would say this, but say it this way. Like for instance, Snoop was like, yeah, I didn't even write for this album because Kendrick already had what he wanted me to say, and he told me to say it this way. And same with George Clinton. George Clinton was like, oh yeah, Kendrick told me to say this. So like Kendrick,
imagine telling George Clinton to do anything.
Right. Imagine telling fucking Ron Osley what to say at the end of a song. So Kendrick not only, basically wrote this album, he composed it. Like he put everyone in place and said, okay, say this way, say this way, and he put together like one of the most cohesive albums I've ever heard in my life. And I could go on about this forever, but yo, To Pimp a Butterfly, like this is probably one of my favorite albums of all time.
I think that while I don't think it's his best, I think it's his second best. I think it's a masterpiece for sure. Um, I I think To Pimp a Butterfly is going to be the more impactful album from his career. I think that what that album says, the time it came out of, or the time it came out in, and what it kind of contextualized during its time. I think that's going to be an album that's going to be looked back at academically. I think people are going to be studying that album and unpacking things from it decades from now. Like that is like you said, it's a literary piece. That is one of the biggest statements as an album from not just this decade, but the century so far.
And it's crazy because now that the times that we're currently in, I mean, the album was like damn near prophecy because I mean,
Oh yeah,
basically the rise the rise of socialism. Though that's the thing that Pac was talking about at the end of his album, and that Kendrick mentioned that the poor people are going to get tired of like knocking on the door. They're going to kick it in eventually. So
facts. Eat the rich.
right. Eat the rich like this. So this album was like quite prophetic, and that's why it's like forever tethered to the time that it was released, and yeah, man, this album is amazing. And just like most of these albums, I totally get of To Pimp a Butterfly is in your thing, but I urge you to just turn off the phone, turn off the TV, just put on the headphones, some good headphones, by the way. Please, because you're gonna miss like the damn glockenspiel in the background of songs and stuff. But no, seriously, right. So like, just put on some good headphones and just sit back and listen to this album in its entirety, like from front to back. Don't pause. Just listen.
You almost said front to black. That would have been good
On
too.
the last the last thing I would say is I didn't really get or understand the love Ron and AJ have for the album until one day I was driving back from Jackson, Tennessee to Huntsville, Alabama. All the back roads, shout out Highway 45, the worst highway ever.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
It's terrible. Like Corinth, Mississippi, all of that is awful. Anyway, so I'm driving. I decide, you know what? I've been putting this off forever. Let me give this one more listen. And I think all I remember pulling over to like a Burger King somewhere in Tennessee to go stop and use the restroom. And as soon as I got back in the car, because I had finished listening to the album, I just sent a message in the group meet to Ron and AJ, and I was like, y'all, I get it.
Yeah.
That's all I said.
Yeah, I remember that. You're like, I get it.
I was like, I get it. I get it. Like, because it hit me as I heard the poem, as I heard the end of the album, and him interviewing Pac, and I was like, it was the Weebay gif. It was like, yo, wait a minute. Yo. And this had to be a good year and a half after the album came out, I think, when I was doing this. So it's one that will stand the test of time. I agree with what Hagen said. It's something that will be studied historically, especially as people begin to, people notice it now, but as people begin to study rap academically for the poetry that it is, across all levels, I think this is going to be one of those impact albums that people are going to study years down the line. Like,
in college, like it's going to be like required listening in college at some point.
No, definitely.
All right.
That man, one more thing about To Pimp a Butterfly, the climax of that album. I think the first time, like when like the interview is coming in and Kendrick is just like the instrumentation's hitting the peak. It's breathtaking.
And
like
then
I
it
think
just cuts off. And
yeah,
like, pop, and then it just cuts
and it's
off.
over. It's like it literally like I was holding my breath for like the last minute of that album the first time I listened to it, and
Wait,
I had to.
No, Shakur, come back.
Shouts out to Kendrick.
So, all right. That kind of that concludes our top 10 decade list. We appreciate y'all kind of bearing with us this whole time. Before we get out of here, Obes, because we kind of talked over you for the whole episode. Anything you want to add to this?
Nah, man, I had everything that I had during the 2 hours that we were talking. So yeah, I got nothing left.
We appreciate you being here, cameraless and all. You could follow Obes on Twitter at 10clock, TINCLOCK, 10clockproductions.com. Hagen, anything you want to add before we get out of here?
I appreciate y'all having me on. I like to talk. I like to be a wannabe critic. So
Well, we appreciate you. We're gonna have to pull you into more of these as we continue these like little webcasts or whatever. So
I'm with it. You can hit me up on Twitter. Shoot me a text. I do need you to get a blue like blue, not green messages, Ryan. But
well, you're gonna have to
oh, my
worry
shit
about.
just cut out. I can't hear nothing.
No, that was me. I'm sorry. My computer.
Did it again.
Yeah, did it.
There we go. I'm back.
Ryan is back.
Swear to God, I hate this computer. I do.
All
I
right.
do.
Ryan's back as well. All right.
I can't change the priority settings for it to not go to sleep.
Get an iPhone.
This is my work laptop. Talk to Georgia State. Anyway, I'm not getting an iPhone. My work phone is an iPhone. I'm not giving you my work number. Anyway, so yeah,
I'll post it on 4chan.
don't post it. Don't put those. Why do you even bother with that? Anyway, like I was saying, you could follow Hagen on Twitter at Ultralight Scheme. No I.
Damn,
Damn it,
there he
Ryan.
goes again.
I can't tell if he's trolling or if he's just like, does he like really get it freezing?
This damn gateway computer he's on.
He's on a gateway computer?
No, he's
Nah,
on
I'm
e-machines.
God damn.
He's on a compact Presario, a Sony Vaio.
I'm fighting everybody. Everybody. Anyway,
Bro,
Ultralight Scheme on Twitter. I'm not opening any more windows.
please.
Ultralight Scheme on Twitter. No I in there. Avant Youth. Moonhandful.net. I don't have my notes up, so if I get it wrong, you're just gonna have to correct
That's
me.
good.
Okay. Let's see. Ron at the KWC blog. Shout out to everybody who has viewed the blog this year. We hit record numbers. We almost doubled our numbers
Oh
from
yeah,
last
we
year.
almost
Good
doubled
shit.
our numbers.
So,
Let me give a few shout outs.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we had a pretty big year. Like Hagen said, I'm kind of a fake critic now, so shout out to Andy Memphis and Sidewalk for giving me credentials and allowing me to cover their shows. Shout out to just everything going on in Birmingham right now. It's a very vibrant city right now. So just shout out to everybody supporting the blog and continuing to support us because we're growing exponentially, and I'm glad you're supporting the content and you're enjoying everything.
Shout out to Probably Drunk Patrick for doing our biggest post on the year, which is the or for contributing or for being the reason behind our biggest post of the year, which was the Belleville DeVoe poison theory post. Because Patrick is the one that sent the tweet that sent Adrian to start writing. So, yeah, that had like nearly 6,000 views by itself. So, shout out to Patrick. Shout out to AJ for doing a shit post on Jay-Z's 92 bricks that for his birthday that ended up being like apparently the definitive source on whether or not whether or not Jay-Z lost 92 bricks. Like it's a Quora question. It's a link on a Quora question. Really, honestly.
I think the fact that he's still alive shows us that he did not lose 92. That's neither here nor there.
Facts.
Exactly. So yeah, shout out to everybody. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at the KWC blog. You follow me at EagleEye1906. We're gonna let everybody get to bed now because my wife is texting me like, "Come get the kids, please." So, all right, we out. Anything else anybody want to add?
When are you posting this, Ryan?
It'll be up probably tomorrow. I've got a lot of time on my hands.
So
I don't go back to work till January 6th. I just wanted to get that up.
If you're listening to this tomorrow, also check out my top movies 2019 list, which I am about to get started on as soon as we get off this webcast.
Let's go.
You leave it all on the field.
Oh, shout out to our all decade playlist will drop on January 1st.
Oh yeah, I need to see myself.
Yeah, I've been begging y'all to update that so it's not all me for like the last 2-3 weeks. I'm about to just give Hagen access and so actually add stuff to it, unlike you. Anyway, we out.
I have one request.
Go ahead.
I got one request. I need you to screen cap when y'all were anticipating Yeezus to get dropped because both of y'all's faces were hilarious. And I almost lost it. I almost lost it. That needs to get
All right. Send me that in a text. I'll do that tomorrow. I'll do that in the morning. All right, y'all. Appreciate y'all, Obes, Hagen. We appreciate y'all.
Appreciate y'all. Peace out.
Later.